Right now, it looks like Issa Tchiroma Bakary has pulled off some surprisingly early gains as he's leading in a number of polling stations that traditionally vote for Paul Biya, and even doing well in parts of Yaoundé and some far north boots. Diaspora tallies are also reported to favor him in several places, so there's genuine chatter that this election is not playing out exactly how many expected. Well, that said, it is still very early, and these are provisional results, returns, and media report, and not an official verdict. So the Constitutional Council must validate the final result, and the ruling CPDM remains strong in many regions. So let's keep an eye out for updates and, any observer statements before reading too much into the first numbers. And let's not also forget that President Paul Biya, who is 92 years of age, is seeking an 8th term. The race took place amid security crisis, economic frustration, and the controversial disqualification of a key opposition figure. For now, we'll delve into what this vote truly reveals about the state of Cameroon, its governance, and also its future. And we have joining us to speak on this, we have Asong Khumbah, he's a politician, and also Metuge Stanley, a journalist. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time and for joining us at this time.
Thank you once again, Usman.
All right, so let me begin with Asong. Asong, speak to us. Let's begin with what we've heard about former ally Issa Tchiroma's momentum in Biya's strongholds and also in the far north. Does it translate into meaningful national numbers, or will the divided opposition guarantee a Biya win? Let's hear from you.
Well, that's a very interesting question. And what I would like to say is Cameroonians are fed up with the ruling party. Cameroonians are fed up with the President of the Republic, His Excellency, President Paul Biya, who has been in power now for about 43 years. And there has been this desire, this very, very deep desire for change. And Cameroonians actually proved it out yesterday by voting massively and making sure that their votes are being protected. Now, when we talk about the whole momentum and the whole movement behind Issa Tchiroma, it goes to simply show that Cameroonians are saying this time around, Biya has to go, Biya has to leave. Because we know fully well that Issa Tchiroma is not the best of candidates, but Cameroonians said they want him out. They even call him the good devil. That is how they call him. They call him the good devil. So you see, we have gotten to the point where Cameroonians just want Biya to leave, and they are ready to put even the devil at the presidency because they want alternance of power. But now the question is that enough? We know that in Cameroon, we have, of course, an authoritarian regime because you can't stay in power for 43 years without putting in place a system that will always keep you in power. And by doing that, automatically, the regime, it will not be easy to destabilize this regime with all the manipulations and all the controls they have over even the institution that organizes elections. Now, this particular candidate, who is Issa Tchiroma, brings some sort of ambiguity in the political scene due to the fact that his past is being stained by the fact that he has been supporting the ruling party for over 30 years. And he has been minister for over 20 years. And these are the things that actually bring in division in our political environment. And that's why a coalition was very difficult, because there were some political leaders who said, but how do we form a coalition with somebody who has been serving President Biya for donkey years and who just comes a few months before elections and say that he wants to kick Biya out?
Let's hear. Yes, I understand you, but let's also hear from Metuge as well. Metuge, we're still getting, reports that it's still a two-horse race between Biya and Tchiroma. So how significant are these, early gains? Are they a sign of real cracks in Biya's support base, or more of an anomaly? What could explain this shift?
Thanks so much, Usman, once again. I think it's a very lofty question you just asked them. Cameroonian, just like what Asong said earlier, are hungry for change. I mean, we've been with this government for the past 43 years. Cameroonians are indeed, tired of the way things are happening in the country. I mean, the country at the moment is at its lowest because of poor road construction. In fact, nothing actually is a pride of Cameroonian. Even what we used to have in terms of our national emblem or our international emblem, which is even our football or our sporting landscape, it's not more the kind of effervescence or a national team that we have today. So Cameroonians are indeed fed up with the way things are happening. And what they need right now is a change. And of course, as you all know, they want even a lesser evil or a lesser evil person to be their new president, because we need to change. They say it's a constant thing in life. And if any country must be able to why not have meaningful development like other African countries? Therefore, there's need for change because everyone will come with his or her own impetus. And mind you, it's a republic. It's not a kingdom where we say it's, I mean, once you're a king or you're a chief, it's for life. It's a presidency. That warrants that we should have leaders every now and then who can be able to bring in their own little quota to the national growth or national development. So Cameroonians have been waiting for this for quite a long time, and it was but normal that they come out in their numbers to vote the lesser evil person, who is President Issa, but that's still candidate Issa Tchiroma Bakary. Mind you that he's someone who has paraded the corridors of the government, and he knows the government so well. Like the Bible tells us, the person who has to destroy you will always come within, will not come from afar. So it was a well-calculated attempt, because I believe while the government was spending 7 good years to see how they can crack down former opposition member Maurice Kamto, they never knew that there's somebody in the house, somebody they've been dining with, who also thinks of breaking the alliance they've had for a good number of years now, and see how he can be the messiah of Cameroonians. And with the elimination of Kamto from participating in the election, it was but no more that Cameroonians should look up to someone else. And mind you, it was seemingly Issa Tchiroma Bakary. In all his campaign tours across the country, we saw massive turnout from Cameroonians. From white who came to give their support.
Let's really hope that he is indeed a lesser evil, and even if he wins, he won't still be subservient to Paul Biya. Now let's move on to the next question for you, Asong. Asong, the opposition claims that Elecam, or the ruling parties, or the ruling party agents are registering non-Cameroonians or even foreigners, or even using identity documents improperly. Has any evidence emerged, so far, and how credible are these claims?
Well, what I'd like to tell you is that everything is possible in Cameroon. For now, I have not seen any evidence portraying that they had registered foreigners left and right. It's true on media, there are so many photos which come up, there are so many documents coming up, but with artificial intelligence today, there are so many things that can be cooked up. But what I would just like to say is that we are in Cameroon, and you know that there was a time where Cameroon was the most corrupt country in the world. And we have seen cases where so many fake documents have been produced in Cameroon, and people will go to other foreign countries and they will be actually diagnosed, or they will be actually put forth that these documents are fake documents. So that just goes to say that we live in a system where everything is possible, and I can assure you that those things cannot lack. But then proving them is the problem, because even in these presidential elections, there are so many things going on. And one of the difficulties that most politicians face is that they don't have representatives in each and every polling station. It's worth noting that there are about 30,000 polling stations across the territory of Cameroon. And due to the fact that most political leaders cannot even cover up to 50% of these polling stations, it becomes then complicated. And we will realize that there are results that will be difficult for us to understand how the ruling party can be winning in these areas, but then what can we do about it? So it becomes a very complex system, and the whole system has been cooked in such a way that even if fraud is being conducted, it's very difficult to prove it.
Okay. Coming back to you, Metuge, there are also allegations of rigging, board opposition, security tensions. What are the risks of a post-election unrest? What do you think will trigger protests? Because we did hear that, there were pockets of protests in some parts of Cameroon even after the election. And how prepared is the government or security forces?
It's a very dicey question, Usman, because at the moment, Cameroonians are indeed hoping for a change. I mean, it's one of the rare elections where we see Cameroonians, especially the younger population, gain so much impetus and momentum to participate in the elections and also protect their votes. We saw them, spending much time seeing that things are done transparently. And they just want that what actually happened, during the counting process and also during the procès verbal should reflect actually what the election governing body, that's Elections Cameroon, Elecam, or Constitutional Council will be proclaiming, because they want a change. And if you see the way things happen this year, we saw in some places which used to be the hub or the home of the ruling party, they are losing there. I mean, even security elements, police, gendarme, the army in their barracks, we see the opposition winning there. It speaks quite much. That to show you that everyone needs a change. And even the militants of the ruling party, because we were quite surprised that in some polling stations where you're sure that this majority of the electors are militants of the ruling party, the ruling party still lost in that given poll. And the question is, what happened? So everyone is really fed up, and Cameroonians just want on the ballot box should reflect at the end of the proclamations of the results. And as you said earlier, it's indeed a very tense atmosphere, especially in the northern regions of the country, where one of the candidates, Issa Tchiroma Bakary, is based, and with the warnings and the outings of the Minister of Territorial Administration, it's indeed a very tense situation there. That's why we saw some images filtering on social media, how some elements or equipments of the security elements over there were destroyed, were burned, and it's.
All right, we seem to have lost Metuge. Now, Metuge, let's come back to you, Asong. Asong, Metuge did talk about, some violence, and we know that in the northwest and southwest regions, there have been separatist violence, lockdowns, and even threats, which are rampant. So, can you tell us if you have an idea of how insecurity has actually impacted voting access, turnout, and even fairness in those parts?
Well, I think for some time now, an order was being issued by the separatist fighters for some sort of lockdown, and it had to go for, I think, over a month now. And they said that it's going to be uplifted, I think, as from Wednesday or Tuesday, that's the 15th of October. Well, we are still hoping that it will be uplifted and that children will be able to go back to school, because, the right to education is a human right. And schools in Cameroon usually reopen in the month of September. That's the first week of September. But unfortunately, those Cameroonian kids who actually school in the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon, called the Anglophone regions, have not yet gone back to school. So we are expecting that they'll be going back to school very soon. and that the separatist fighters will understand that the right to education is a fundamental right. Now, concerning insecurity in the southwest and the northwest regions, this time it was a little bit pacific and peaceful because elections were being conducted peacefully, unlike in 2018, where even on elections day, there were some sort of threats coming from the separatist fighters who attacked one or two people because they had given an order that no voting is going to take place in the Anglophone regions. But this time, it seems like that I have the impression they accepted that voting should take place. That actually portrays something good, is that the separatist fighters themselves believe in democracy. They believe that if change comes, that if there is a new president, then certainly the Anglophone crisis will be able to be resolved. Now, concerning the insecurity in the northern regions of Cameroon, of course, we have to understand that in Garoua, as it took place yesterday around the residence of Issa Tchiroma, of course, it's normal because with the repressive regime we have, the regime wanted to use the military to suppress the people, but the people of Garoua said no and said that they are going to protect their leader, and that led to some sort of conflict. But everything has been calmed down. Everywhere is peaceful, and I think on the whole territory of Cameroon today, it's been very, very peaceful as we all wait for the ballot boxes to be counted and that we have the final results.
All right. Now, there are also reports of elevated ethnic tensions or even regional discontent. How much do these ethnic or regional identities still shape voting in Cameroon? Do you think that these regions that, especially regions that traditionally support Biya's shift? Let's hear from you, Metuge. I'm told you're back.
Yes, thanks so much. Sorry about that, for that break in transmission. Yes, I think there's indeed a paradigm shift in the way things are happening right now in the country, because we are seeing many people now who are doing everything possible not to just depend on their tribesman, but they want change. I told you earlier, they just want anybody who can be able to take them to the next level. I mean, Cameroon, with over 60 years of independence and boasting of just 2 presidents, I don't think it speaks well of our country, unlike other African countries where a president with a 4-year mandate, at least 2 mandates for 8 years, and you're gone, and someone else comes and bring in a fresh impetus. I think that's what democracy is all about, because it makes people think that there is room for change. If this person whom you have now is not giving you the results you want, then you have to wait for 4 years or wait for 7 years. And as soon as the time reaches, I mean, the ballot box has to decide. So Cameroonians, I think, have gone past that level, because we've seen that even, I told you earlier, during this election, we are told that even in the fief of the ruling party, that's the CBDM party, they lost. Even in their home fief, I mean, even in the fief of the president of the republic, in his hometown, he still lost, meaning that even his people know that it's time for change. And the question is, why now? Is because, as I told you earlier, we are indeed very tired, and we want someone who can be able to make us dream again, make us hope that there is a bright horizon for this country, and why not for the youths. So Cameroonians are gradually shifting from that mentality, because at first it used to be a thing from the north and the south. They tell you, a northerner cannot be the president of the republic again, considering what happened with the first president of the republic, Amadou Ahidjo. We can't go back again to the north, so everything should always end down in the south. But again, I think those who voted, I mean, many southerners, if I may use that expression, had to vote largely to a northerner, of course, who is candidate Issa Tchiroma Bakary. Yeah. So I think that Cameroonians are becoming more aware in terms of political choice, and not just always being about their tribesmen, but all we want is change. And we are hoping that change will be at the end when the results will procreate.
All right. Now, we know that with the median age of about 18 in Cameroon, many youths have actually abstained, believing that the result is preordained, But how large is this youth dissatisfaction? Because you did mention youth earlier, and I'm passing this question to Asong. Do you think that, this apathy translated into lower turnout, protests, or even a stronger vote for opposition challenges?
Well, what I would like to say is that the momentum has really changed. I think that this year is a special year, and it's worth noting that the youths in Cameroon are the greatest victims of the regime of Paul Biya. And when we talk about all the different difficulties faced by Cameroonians on a daily basis, you're going to realize that the youths are those who are being affected most. So, of course, we have realized that the youths are more mobilized than ever to take part in the political affairs of our country. And we could see it in several ways. First, this year we had about 5 youths, presidential aspirants, who were aged between 35 and 40, and I was one of them. So that just goes to show that we are getting more and more interested in politics. Now, when you look at the registrations, you are going to realize that last year we had more registered youths on the electoral list than men and women. So all of this goes to show that the youth are getting more and more interested in politics. They are getting more and more conscious of the fact that they represent the continuity of our country, Cameroon, and they are the future. And more to that, we could see their massive turnout at the different polling stations. So to talk about youth apathy, youth electoral apathy, or youth voting apathy this time around is not something that we can raise. Certainly the youths are getting up and standing up. The Gen Y and Gen Z are saying that this is the time and that they are going to change. And I think that wind of movement is not only in Central Africa, we also have had it in West Africa, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and it's gone the other side to the east in Madagascar. And I think that Africa is on the right path with the new generation of youths which it has today, and it has a better future.
All right. Coming back to you, Metuge, now, we know that over 8 million people registered to vote, including over 34,000 people, overseas. So how confident, are we in the integrity of the electoral roll?
I think that's a very daunting question, especially
because we know how it happens in Africa. What you see is not what you get.
Definitely. I think this time around, the little difference of what we had in 2018 as to what we had in 2025 is the fact that many of those who were observing this election during the counting and during even with the filling of the PVs, that's the official report of the elections in the respective polls, they were sent directly on social media, probably just to let the world know exactly what happened, because we know that as you said earlier, what we read on the ground on the day of the counting and what goes to the electoral body at times might not reflect what will be read for us during the proclamation of the results. So what many people did, especially the younger generation or the youths of who participated actively in this election, had to take pictures, take videos, and send on social media handles to let the world actually see that, okay, this is what happened here. And so that tomorrow was not get a different story. So it's indeed is something very important because they want change. I mean, they want change, and we know how the system has been doing it. I mean, in the past, doing it the way they've been doing it, and Cameroonians are saying that no, at this point in time, it's not about me. It's about the future. If we must have good roads, if we must have good health facilities, good education, I mean, let's give room for someone else who can be able to bring something fresh, something new. The change we need must begin with someone else. And that's why you saw them doing everything possible to make sure that they safeguard their votes right up to the end. I saw some people, I mean, some voters who stood right up to about 8 p.m., 9 p.m., making sure that they have a final picture of the report that will go to the elections governing body in their respective polls, because they want to make sure that they have something, and so that tomorrow they don't get a different story. Because at the end of the day, even when you go to the Constitutional Council, they'll be asking you, where is your PV? I mean, what shows that you have one in this particular police station, or you have 100 or 100 in this particular police station? And I think, also as a media man, the National Communication Council today came out with a communique, cautioning people of the way to go about it, saying that they were so surprised with the way results from polling stations were being shared on social media space. Something that ought not to be the case. But unfortunately, we are in the digital world. Technology has come, and many people want to always make sure that they have a backup and hoping that by doing so, the international community is watching. I mean, the international community is watching, so let's not get a different story tomorrow, because at first they used to tell us that we don't have proofs, but now we have these proofs, or youths have this proof, and they are there on social media. They also have hard copies in their phones. They just pray that what actually happened on the 12th of October should reflect when the Constitutional Council will be proclaiming the results.
Absolutely. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed and see how the events turn and who wins this particular election. Thank you so much, Asong Khumbah, politician, and Metuge Stanley, journalists, for your time and for speaking with us. A very interesting conversation.